Hey there, Hofstra fans. Welcome to this week's edition of the WB Mason Coaches Report right here on GoHofstra.com. I'm Mike Sullivan, joined, as we always are, by head coach of the Hofstra men's lacrosse program, Seth Tierney. Coach, how's everything going?
Thanks, Mike. Thanks for having me.
Coach, good weekend for your team. 9-7 win over Towson. You begin league play 3-0 for the first time in 5 seasons. Just take me through the win. How good did it feel to beat the Tigers?
Yeah, so obviously it was the next game, and to get a win versus Towson, again, there's a lot of different things that go into it. A, they've had our number the last couple of years. B, it's a conference game, and C, it had some weight to it. You know, it was our last home conference game, which has played a little bit of a role. It was an opportunity for us to seal up a spot in the CAA tournament, and these were all boxes that we wanted to check, and now we have to throw that, post it away, and go to the next, you know, what do we want to accomplish next, because there's a lot more certainly to accomplish, and I don't think that we played great, but we played well enough to win, and we move on.
Talk to me a little bit first about that, clinching a berth in the conference tournament, back in the CAA tournament for the first time since 2011. It's something at the beginning of the season you keyed on, and it's not even April, and you can already say you're going back to the postseason. How does it feel as a team to lock up that berth?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's something that we haven't experienced in a couple of years, and for whatever reason, you know, that's the way those years played out. And you know, it's not for a lack of effort or trying, and certainly, you know, I want our guys to feel good because they've accomplished something that we hadn't done in a while, and we now have earned the right to maybe not grip our sticks as tight as you may have to in certain games later on down the road, knowing that we're going to be in the conference tournament. With that being said, the next wave of things are going to start to come up. We don't play a conference game for a couple of weeks. We've got a couple of really formidable opponents that we need to focus in on, and we need to continue to grow as a team and to start to win some more games.
Let's look at Saturday night a little bit. Rainy, windy, conditions were tough, and Chris Clark, very nice bounce back effort from him at X, 13 of 19, really allowing your team to get a lot of possessions against a good Towson defense. What did you see from Chris?
Yeah, Chris, you know, he was focused all week. You know, they were only facing off around 45% leading into the game, and Chris was focused. He did a good job. They had a good game plan. You know, if Chris was going to start to win, they put a lot of pressure on the ball right after the face-off, and I thought our attack was active, and we handled it a little bit. With that being said, Chris did a good job, and you know, anytime that we can play offense more than play defense, that's a good start to the formula.
Defensively, you only allowed 10 shots on goal for the Tigers. Finn Sullivan got the mark of Tom DiNapoli most of the game. You contain him, a player who's played pretty well against you the past couple of years.
Yep.
And so how did the game plan play out, you thought, from the defensive perspective?
Certainly, you know, DiNapoli is, you know, he's had a really good career against us, and you know, we played well. We made sure we knew where he was most of the time. The stat of, you know, they had more than 10 shots total, obviously 10 shots on goal, and that's up to them. They had a couple of really good looks at the goal, and you know, maybe it was just not their night of putting it on the goal. You know, Chris only had 3 saves. I think maybe there was a couple more. I don't know. I know he got hit in the fourth quarter with one. I don't know, you know, how that plays out. But you know, Chris was there for us at the end, and we had a couple of really good defensive stands to just stymie them. And anytime you can play defense for over a minute, minute and a half, 2 minutes, they get it back, and then you can clear the ball. It takes the air out of you a little bit. We've had that happen to us, and we were fortunate we were on the winning side of that.
Offensively, what sort of boost does it give you with a guy like Anthony Zappone starts off the game with the first goal, his first career goal in transition, takes the pass from Finn and puts it in the back of the net? What do you see from the rope and Anthony in particular?
Yeah, anytime that your defender scores, it is a rush. They don't get their name in the paper a lot, and they, you know, we get real excited for that. So the sideline obviously was very excited for Anthony and Finn getting the assist and pushing the ball up the field. So we were thrilled about that. It was one goal. You know, we weren't going to win 1-0, and we just had to get back to reality and say next play, and then we can enjoy that goal later on after a victory.
Finally, Coach, at the half it was 4-4. You win the third quarter 3-1, which really puts you in a good position to take that fourth quarter and win the game. What was the message at halftime, and how did your team come out and really outplay the Tigers for the second half?
I mean, we talked about a couple of, you know, maybe a failed clear or two. We talked about being outground balled at halftime, and you know, I think if I remember correctly, the stats, we were 8 for 10 facing off in the second half, and we were plus 8 to 10 ground balls in the second half, and that really tells the story. You know, we said going in, it's a very evenly matched game, that the Towson team is like looking in the mirror, you know, to win that third quarter by 2 and to match punch for punch in the fourth quarter, you know, we're certainly thankful to get the win.
You mentioned a little bit earlier, but let's look ahead really to the month of April, and you step out of conference play for a little bit. 3 non-conference games before you return to CAA when you play UMass on the road in a couple of weeks. It starts this weekend against Siena, but how do you approach these next 3 games? What are you going to work on before you get back to CAA play?
Yeah, I mean, you know me well enough. We're not approaching these 3 games. We're approaching 1, and it's going to be Siena, and they got some players. They're facing off very well. They got a very good goalie. The kid Hurley at the attack is as good as we've seen. You know, he's got 40-something points already. You know, in their 6-3 record, they've beaten some teams. You know, after a bumpy start versus Syracuse. You know, we got to be on our toes. We haven't played them in a while, and it's going to be much like you know, a Marquette type approach, and we need to make sure that we are that we're locked in. We'll start that today.
I was going to ask you, have you gotten a chance to look and see what Hurley does particularly well? Top 5 in the nation in scoring, top 5 in assists per game, and what you have to do defensively to slow him down a little bit?
I mean, his IQ is terrific. He's you know, he's quick. He's got great change of direction. He's got a will to get to the goal. You know, they go as he goes, and you know, they got the kid Connor Prunty at the midfield. He's gotten an awful lot of shots off, and a couple have dropped, and a couple have missed the cage. So we got to make sure we know where he is. And we're going to need a great effort at the face-off X and have the ball a little bit. And again, we're going to need to approach this. This is a huge game for us right now.
Finally, Coach, what's going to be the key to get win number 7 on the season and defeat Siena?
Yeah, I mean, you know, we need to eye one game at a time. And Siena comes in, and it's going to be a huge game for them, a huge game for us. We got to be focused all week. Again, ground balls, turnovers on the perimeter, we have to eliminate. Whether the weather being bad or not, it's not an excuse, and we're going to be focused and be ready to play.
Hofstra Pride men's lacrosse team back in action this weekend against Siena for head coach Seth Tierney. I'm Mike Sullivan. Thanks for tuning in to the WB Mason Coaches Report.